Welcome to the Clause YouTube channel.
Together, we strive for a safer, secure, and more stable world.
Good evening, viewers. The Jaipur military dialogue under the aegis of laws. A lot of things happening in the world. So first, I welcome the panelists. We have Brigadier Karan Rathore, a very known figure in our circle as a geopolitician, strategic thinker. We have Gen Sudhakarjee. Again, I think he doesn't require any introduction. Again, a very expert on the various issues, international issues, geopolitical, and what's going on in the world. And we also have Brigadier Vardhan. I think the person who's amongst us is a flyer, so he sees the things in the earth from a higher dimensions. So welcome to the panelists and welcome to the audience. Today
Thank you,
we have
sir.
a thank you, welcome. And today we have a very interesting discussion on the scenario which is going on in the world. Probably a couple of months back, one thought it might happen. That was the issue at various discussions. We used to discuss it may happen, it may not happen, that Iran and US will come into conflict. So slowly, probably how the things have turned up. What is seen today is that they have gone into a conflict, and it is a massive conflict with Israel also getting, fired from Israel's shoulder. The US came into play. And if analysis is done of last probably 8 9 months, maybe 10 months or 12 months, the encirclement of Iran have been going on willy-nilly with the US warships coming in from various locations, the building up which was taking place, the dialogue which was building up, and sanctions so-called were building up. One issue which becomes very clear, it is the reason why the war between Iran and US, more particularly, and Israel. Israel has a different reason to have a war with Iran. It is a long-term issue which Israel have been fighting for. So they had US with them, and US has a reason to come along in this war against Iran. One issue very prominently for the US comes up into my mind is the oil diplomacy. It is playing a very vital role. And though the things which is talked of is the buildup of the nuclear weapons by Iran, that is one issue which has been taken very seriously by the US and President Trump. For Israel have been that yes, Iran have been supporting the non-state actors, the Hamas and maybe Hezbollah, and they were supporting them, financing them, training them. So they had to put a stop to it. So that is another reason. Willy-nilly, what has happened, transpired is that uh, Iran, when it is addressed by Israel and US, Iran have started addressing. That addressing means they started bombarding, taking care of the US bases in the countries around Iran, in the Gulf countries, and UAE, Qatar, and Bahrain, Kuwait, almost Jordan, Oman. So they are the ones where they are being affected, though they are not part of the overall the conflict per se, but the impact is there. They've been bombarded. They've been not only the US bases in these countries, but I think it is they have affected the other parts of these countries also. So that is one issue which is coming up. Um, it is, if one overlooks the present day scenario and goes back into the history and time, Iran when it was Persia and subsequently changed over, it became the conflict also comes into play with the two sections of the Muslim community, Shia and Sunni. So that is also coming into play with the countries having alignments towards each other. It is oil diplomacy comes into play because most of the oil which is overground, I would say that it is it is coming through the sea links. Strait of Hormuz is being closed. And yes, the supply chain of the various modes of oil supply, the most important one was above the sea. Under the sea, things are still going on. If one analyzes the oil diplomacy, one thing which is clear is that during First World War, during Second World War, the pipelines, oil pipelines going across Europe to various places across oceans, I think hardly any one of them was destroyed by the enemy or by the countries of other countries passing through their country terrain. It was never destroyed. So it is a very serious thing. It needs to be seen that why it is so. Probably the oil diplomacy is more prevalent, more permanent, which is going on. It in a willy nilly, I think there's a thought process that China is also taken care of because China has 5% import from Iran, 50% oil is imported from Gulf countries, and 25% from Qatar. They are also, though it is not coming up out straight, but China is also affected by the war which is going on. And it is beyond the reason the impact is there. Some thought process there that it should stop, maybe. So it was initially that yes, maybe a week, few days, but some thought process that will prolong. Similar condition had occurred when Russia and Ukraine started. So it is still going on. The years have passed, and probably if you look at it, U.S. and Iran, Israel being part of that, so is a thing which war will continue, and it might reach a reason a state wherein what's happening with Russia and Ukraine. This is another thought process there. Uh, I have my panelists who are expert on the issue. I like to have the views of the panelists. First, I'll go to Brigadier Harshvardhan because he has to leave. He's got a very less time to be with us. Over to you, Brigadier Harshvardhan.
Thank you, sir, for giving this opportunity to discuss this very live topic, wherein the US and Israel combined have attacked Iran. And it all started with the triggering event on 28th of February of the recent events which we are discussing today, wherein the Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei was destroyed along with 40 major leaders of the country were taken out on the very first day. And the purpose was to disrupt the command and control structure so that this country is brought down to its knees, and then they are able to toe the line of what US and Israel have been wanting to do. So some of the major military developments which I can recount is the precision airstrike on Iranian nuclear facilities of Natanz, Fordo and Isfahan, and attacks on missile bases of IRGC and command and control network which was there. That is what the aim was. And the US and Israel had used a stealth aircraft, cruise missiles and bunker busting munition to bring down this heavy punishment on Israel in the very first go. At the same time, unlike what people did not expect, the Iran also retaliated, sir, with ballistic missiles and drone strikes targeting Israel and US bases in the Gulf states. And they attacked US bases in Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, UAE, Oman, and Saudi Arabia. And he had expanded the conflict in the naval domain in the Persian Gulf and also the Arabian Sea. The Iran also declared recently the blockade of that is the Strait of Hormuz as a war zone. That has resulted in a much bigger crisis, which has got more ramification for all the Gulf countries as well as the rest of the world. So if you see, sir, the countries affected by this blockade are Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia. The risk which these countries are now facing is the missile and the drone attacks which are constantly been targeted by Iran, and they've been able to do it very successfully. One of the reports says that they have taken out the eye in the Middle East, that is, the surveillance capability of US has been taken out, by which they were able to keep an eye of good about 5,000 kilometers all around the world, where this third air defense system which is there. So it appears that it may have been partially or completely made non-functional. That are some of the reports. You also mentioned in your opening notes, sir, that how is the Shia and Sunni politics which is developing. I see that there are two alignments. The Shia axis coming from the Iran, it's PET, that is Hezbollah, Iraqi's Shia militia which is there, the Houthis in the Yemen, and the Syrian government, which they are also within the axis of Shias. And talking of the Shia and Sunni divide, sir, on the other side we have Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Jordan, Egypt, Turkey. These are the countries where this block formation is going on. And within Pakistan also, sir, we have seen of late that there have been a lot of pressure on Pakistan because Iran was likely to target, or they are fearing that Iran target some of the bases in Pakistan as well, because Pakistan right now is facing some threat from Afghanistan. They fear it from India. Something is happening in Balochistan, and now that the airspace has been used to strike Iran, and some of the flights originated from Pakistan. So I believe that is likelihood that in some times to come, there would be some impact on the Pakistan front also. Talking of the global oil diplomacy, sir, how it is being affected, especially with the blockade of Strait of Hormuz, that 20 to 30% of the global oil trade passes through this strait, and 20% of liquefied natural gas that is also originated from this Gulf itself. And there is a potential consequence that this price may go up to oil price may go to $150 per barrel, which will eventually affect the entire world. We are talking of some major power politics in this, like the major countries, that is United States, their objective is to weaken the Iranian military capabilities and protect Israel. Russia at this time has not shown its hand, but it has been supporting largely, it has been voicing its concern with the Iranian regime, and it condemns the assassination but avoids direct military intervention. So again, both Russia and China, they have only shown their concern, whereas they have not given very clear, verdict, or they have not shown any inkling of military intervention as of now, sir. Now, you had spoke about impact of India, sir. How India is affected in this entire discipline. We have seen recently, sir, there's something which adverse happened in the Indian Ocean, not exactly in Indian territorial waters, but one of the naval ships of Iran, which was returning after a joint military exercise, where the president took the salute, and this vessel was taken out by US off the coast of Sri Lanka, not even in their waters. But a lot of concern has been raised whether it was ethically and morally correct or not. But these are some of the developments which I would like to leave to the panel, sir. We are at a stage where the entire world is affected by this present disturbance which is going in the Middle East, and the oil crisis I think the whole world is going to be affected by this, and we need to keep a very close watch on what is happening in this area in the days to come. How US is going to further develop. We have also heard about how the Kurdish army is being encouraged by US to organize a revolt in the western part of the Iran, and maybe air support will be given by the US troops, US forces, and maybe this will become a ground offensive, because people have been saying that if to have a decisive battle, we have to have boots on the ground, and US has learned its lessons from Afghanistan, Iraq, Vietnam, and I am sure they're wanting to avoid keeping their boots on ground, and they would like to use the proxies. I would also like to bring in, sir, maybe the panel may throw more light on this, uh, because Iran has attacked Saudi Arabia, and Pakistan has a kind of a military pact. That attack on one is like attack on the other country. How will this play out in the long term? We need to watch out, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Brigadier Hersh. I think very valid point which you have brought out about the agreement between Pakistan and UAE, how this is going to work out. Uh, the the prominent issues which comes up is that the regional stability is affected. Will it lead into a wider confrontation? US Spain outrightly saying no to US, and the reaction of US on the issue. What is going to change? Is it a change of regime, or it will continue the regime changes? But what conducive regime is going to come in Iran? One pointer is there, wherein if you look at the two world wars, World War One and World War Two, the beginning of both the world wars, World War One and World War Two, is this kind of the confrontation, the war which is going on. If it continues, will it lead to? Will it lead to? I would. It is just a thought which is coming to my mind. Will it lead to the alignments outrightly to the US and Israel and other countries in the world, and maybe against it, and lead to a place wherein the continuity is there, and maybe we can call it World War Three. That question is there. And with this, I will request General Sudhakarjee to throw lights on the wider confrontation, the role of Spain on that, the global alignments which are coming up, and how likelihood that it is going to be in the coming time lead to the situation in the world. Over to you, General Sudhakarjee.
Okay, Brigadier Virendra, thank you. Good evening, and thank you for inviting me to your platform. What I'll do is a lot of things are happening. We actually pick up that thing which actually excites us, but there are many things which do not excite us, but they are happening. First and foremost thing is, without going back too much into time, as per the timeline, I would prefer to actually dilate the time spectrum from 79 to 80s, thereafter from 2000 to 2018, and the current ongoing situation. And as far as the level is concerned, there is something happening at the global level, something at the regional level, something at the local level. And when I discuss about the local level, be mindful of the fact that it's a civilizational country, and the regime, this is a theocratic regime which has existed for 47 years. And when you talk about Sharia law, Islamic fundamental law, it gets deeply embedded. It is a centralized control ecosystem. But lately, post 12-day conflict, there were consultations by the supreme leader with his advisors. They had gone in for, they were anticipating this attack. They knew that it was coming. So they were preparing the nation for this kind of attack, and they knew that they would be exhausted with all the infrastructure and the wherewithal, because They're more than convinced that they are no match to the combined military might of USA and Israel. So all that they could do was to fight a kind of a asymmetric warfare wherever the advantage was in their favor and otherwise also. So very quickly, I'll just go over today. Donald Trump has demanded unconditional surrender of Iran, and the president of Iran, by midday Indian Standard Time, had started offering that he's actually extended apologies to the neighborhood, and he has given them assurance that they will not strike again. Also, he has made it very clear that there will be no conditional apologies, and he's given an indication, words to the effect. I'm talking about President Iran, that they would bring this mindless conflict to an end, which is going to impact the whole of planet. And what's to that effect? The five things that he has extended. But USA was waiting for this opportunity. Who blinks first? And they continue to demand unconditional surrender. That means they're looking at a total regime change. Unfortunately, as per my thought process, nobody in the US, including the advisors, the secretary, nor the president, they have understood Iran enough. It is one thing to think of changing regime like it happened in 2011 in Libya, or Maduro's hijacking of Maduro and his wife from Venezuela. It is another thing to practice one template in countries which cannot be parallel to this country that I have mentioned. Iran is a more than 5,000 years a civilizational country. Yes, I do agree. The historic status of Iran is actually Persia. They are Persians. They are not Arab. However, the Arabic culture has come into the Iranian culture. As the demography stands today, 23 to 27% they live in rural areas, totally disconnected from outside environment, and around 73 to 77% they live in urban area. Having enjoyed the status, at least for a brief period of democracy way back prior to 1979, the regime has taken pains to actually evolve and implemented the Sharia law ruthlessly for 47 years. At the top is the supreme leader. He has got lien over all the important verticals of a Islamic republic, call it judiciary, call it, they also have majlis, they have election system. It is incorrect to think and extend our thought process by saying they don't practice election. They have majlis. It's like a parliament. So they have a vertical, very, very tight and centralized kind of command and control. The supreme leader has a tight leash over, you call about foreign policy, defense, economy, technology, etc. So name anything, he holds it. So he means there is one IRGC, Iranian Islamic Republic Guard Corps. In open domain, you will find the figure is given 1.25 to 1.90 lakh of population, but actually it is more than 2.5 lakhs. So they have a full control over everything. The complete political dispensation, they control it. They are actually meant for giving close protection and make sure that the security and safety of the supreme leader is upheld and not compromised at any time. They have a tight leash, tight control over the Iranian army and the Air Force and Navy. Iran army has got 600,000 military population. They are the activists, and the reservists are around 2.6, but they are actually much more. But what is of interest is that they have a paramilitary force, which is called a Bajis group. Bajis group, in open domain, you will find 9 lakh or 900,000, but actually it goes up to 25 million. It's a simple paramilitary force, like you can't call them a reservist. I really can't say with evidence that they're on the payroll, but they are there, who have had some kind of a tactical training. They know weapon handling, they can march straight, They've gone through the exercise of drill, and at short notice, they can be changed over. They can play the role of regular army. This has to be understood. Plus, they also have a small air force, 56 to 58 jets, but these jets are of MiG 29, F series, what China has given to Bangladesh, F4, F7. They're old, obsolete, but still they have been able to make do with the repair and keep them functional. They have got a small navy. Open source says 19 submarines. My research indicates that 29 submarines. So they have a coastal battery, coastal regiment to take care of Strait of Hormuz. We are aware of what happened in 80s, then followed by in 2019. They had gone to the extent of laying mines in 80s. 2019, it is, as per the report, they had made serious attempts to close the Strait of Hormuz, which I don't believe because most of us are unaware of the fact. As on today, if I am wrong, I am open to correction. Iran does not have refining capability. It may be the third largest oil reserve in the world, having around 11 to 12%, but its oil goes out of Iran through Strait of Hormuz to different place, gets refined and comes back. So if the Hormuz is blocked, then, well, they have no means to actually send and bring back the oil duly refined. So that is to be kept in mind. It's a country which is northwest to southeast is around 2,333 kilometers roughly. West to east is approximately 1,800 to 2,200 kilometers. And towards the north is the Caspian Sea. Towards the south is you have the Persian Gulf. The distance from the coast of Iran towards Persian Gulf, across you have UAE, you have Qatar, you have Kuwait. Kuwait is in the cone. It forms a cone on the tip where Iraq and these things they meet. This bordering of the coastal countries across Persian Gulf is at a distance of 750 to around 1,000 kilometers. This has to be understood because this has got willy-nilly, since we all are military people, will understand what meaning and implication does it have. Also, the topography from northwest to north to northeast, coming down to the border between Pakistan and Iran, it is mountainous, and to west, northwest, and north, these are forested, deeply forested. When you come to the Pakistan border, 909 kilometers, it is relatively open terrain, open avenues, but there is connectivity is very far and few. Distance from the border, Pakistan-Iran border to Tehran is approximately 1,700 kilometers. This is to be understood. And it has got 31 provinces, it has got counties, it has got districts. At every level, there is IRGC, there is a political independent representative, there is a cleric mullah leader who's supposed to follow the religious things, take stock and feedback. So there is an ecosystem existing everywhere. Very interestingly, after the 12 days war of 2025, after very serious consultation, they knew that such kind of attack was imminent. So they had gone in to reorganize Iran, which nobody is talking about. This is called a mosaic defense. What is mosaic defense? Under a centralized system, everything has to come and go. Reporting upwards, that is the feedback loop, OODA loop, is to come to the supreme leader and go down from the supreme leader to grassroots level. But under mosaic defense, which actually was put into effect from January. Why January 2026? Because 13 January 2026, there was a very serious presentation given to Donald Trump in White House by Tulsi Gabbard and the party. Pete Hegseth also was present. Marco Rubio was there. And there are a host of J.D. Vance, as it is always next to the president. So host of other very serious this thing. And their main aim and objective of the presentation was to prove and convince Donald Trump that Iran did not pose a threat to the USA. So at the end of the presentation, everyone was absolutely convinced and satisfied. Iran did not pose a threat to USA. Hence, there was no case to justify any kind of military campaign or operation launched by USA against Iran or inside Iran. This has to be understood. So between 13 January 2026 till 2026, 27th of February, what did go wrong? Why such a change from no offensive, no campaign to all campaigns, as if, hell for leather, going to absolutely demolish and devastate and decimate the entire country? It is the Jewish lobby, which is the strongest lobby in USA. Netanyahu is an extension of it. They are the richest people. I will not be wrong to say that they have virtually bought the Congress of USA. It is they who insisted that it is paramount and important and inescapable for America to launch an offensive and make sure that they contribute to the overall military operations of the Israel. Now I come to the timeline. The timeline we all know about the 1979, because the Islamic Revolution, it flipped Iran from a USA-Israel ally to a foe, and Ayatollah Khamenei regime, it branded USA as Great Satan and Israel as Small Satan. And we all know that it replaced the pre-1979 cooperation with anti-Zionist ideology, support for proxy group, namely Hezbollah and Hamas, nuclear ambition, and causing decades of sanctions and military friction. In the 1979, another very important thing that took place, which I must highlight here, it overthrew the previous regime, that is the Shah's regime, all right, which is not to be, needs to be understood by our viewers, that Shah regime was a US ally. Actually, if you see, Shah was a US ally, but where he fell apart was when he nationalized the oil fields based on public demand. When he nationalized the oil fields based on public demand, that became a kind of a fly in the ointment that caused very serious irritation among the Westerners, particularly America. While he did flee to America, but the person who came to relieve or take over the leadership of Iran was a person, there is a very deep conspiracy. There are multiple stakeholders. He was brought from France to Iran so as to lead the mission with a hope that sooner or later he will turn pro-USA, pro-Western. But as soon as he came, he found the second paradigm which had caught the attention of the people was the women empowerment. The two things happened, two important during Shah's regime. Oil fields getting nationalized. Number two, there was a total liberation of women, total democratization, and they started going for jobs. They were anchors and they're doing the driving. They have a normal life as practiced in the normal democracy, upcoming modern kind of a society. That is what actually irked the cleric. And soon he brought in what is called the revolution in 1979, which picked up momentum in no time. And from 79 to 80s, they went through lots of sanctions. They drew the wrath of the Western alliances. By early 80s, 1984, 85, they came to a realization the speed and the rate at which the sanctions were being imposed. They knew that it would be very difficult for them to breathe. So they focused on what India is focusing now in something like indigenous development of defense product. This is where it is to be underlined. We keep talking about our manufacturing has not taken off. Here is a country, despite all sanctions, started everything indigenously, and the missile program started from the year 1984-85 with a clear-cut objective. The objective was every month, no matter what restrictions and problems came, they will produce at least 30 missiles. And given the fact that they have an interstate distance of 1600 to 18 or say 2200 kilometers gap, they don't have a common border. And the missiles were actually developed with an aim to make 30 missiles in a month, in a year 3600, but they went through a cycle, very, very intermittent cycles of ups and downs, and but still they stayed on, and they feel very proud that almost all the components they were produced there in Israel itself. Now, what was the aim? Why were they going in for the missiles? They were going in for the missiles because it has to be understood in this phase, 79 to 80, it was a kind of a realization phase, consolidation phase of Islamic revolution and the radicalization within Iran. What was the aim? It will do me good to cover the aims, the core drivers. They come under three different headings. The first one is actually the existential threat perception. Now, what is the existential threat perception? Existential threat perception is Israel always has been viewing, or it views a nuclear armed Iran as an existential threat and always vows to prevent it. Now, also see it under the heading of regional influence. Iran seeks to expel US influence and dismantle Israeli. I'm just covering the larger doctrinal aspects. What is actually the driving them to do all this? And US Israel, they have been aiming to contain Iran's influence, but I'll be very frank and candid. It is not containment. They want Iran to cease to exist. That brings me to one of the central issues which Brigadier Virendra had brought out in the initial preamble that you shared, is the Shia-Sunni conflict. Shia-Sunni conflict is a 1400-year conflict which has been lingering on. To be precise, it is 1346 years. We'll not go into the history of Karabla and all that, how the Shia was created, but Shia motto, their lifestyle is based on the ultimate supreme sacrifice of martyrdom. Anyone who martyrs his life for the national security is the ultimate. There is nothing supreme, nothing bigger than that. So there is a self-conviction and pride in all the Iranians. They always feel. I'm purposely bringing out this point because ultimately what America and Israel are looking for is total closure of this regime or the regime change. What happened in Libya? Way back in 2011, there was an uprising amongst the people, there was a revolution, and there was aerial bombardment going on. So it was finally coordinated. When we talk about the boots on ground, the American troops, I don't think they were there, to the best of my understanding. It is the people on the ground who led the revolution and finally led to the execution of Gaddafi. So more than one thing happened. One, the Libyan army was not supporting the government. In the instant case, the Iranian army is supporting the government. This is to be understood. Number two, so what is the population? Population of Iran is around 90 million, 9 crores. Or let's say, around plus 9.2 crores or so. And in case of Libya, there is another thing. The military did not support. The popular uprising amongst the people was something which actually compelled or drove the entire development towards execution of Gaddafi. In the instant case, people have come together. Be mindful of the fact, actually, those 27% people who stay in rural area, they couldn't care less. For them, life is live and let live. But what mattered was the 77% or 73% in the urban areas. There was a divide. There were a group of people who are fence-sitters, the group of people who are pro-regime, the group of people who are anti-regime. In a case when the country is invaded or attacked from the external forces, historically one would see, it has always led to galvanization of people within. It has ignited the passion of nationalism in Iran. So there are two things. Army is in favor of the regime because this conduct of operation on 28th February at 8:15 Tehran time was something very unusual. not in the paradigm of military science, nowhere, unannounced. The war was never declared. Had the war been declared by USA or Israel, war open declared, because they are still under ceasefire, by the way. The ceasefire between the proxies, which was announced in November 2024, although it has been violated a number of times, still under ceasefire. So suddenly there is a negotiating team. Interlocutor is Oman. They don't speak one to one. There's a third party mediation. They had a second round in Geneva. 27th of February, by about afternoon, the Omanian interlocutor comes and announces publicly, he makes the entire world come to know that he has reached a final solution, which is winning for both USA as also Iran. Iran had agreed to zero enrichment. They have a process to bring down from more than 60% to 0%. They had agreed to many of the demands of USA. So when the diplomatic and the negotiating efforts are going on, what was it so urgent that such a mission was to be carried out and you knock off? Not that I'm pro-Iranian or pro-terrorism, but there are some ethics and principles in warfare. You can't brand the line that everything is fair in love and war. That too in 21st century. This is my thought. I may be wrong in my thought process. I'm open to criticism. A lot of my course mates have not liked my ideas when I have been articulating in international and national mainstream media. These are my thoughts. In warfare, you have to have boundaries. You simply can't say 200 nautical miles south of Indian coast, southeast of Sri Lanka, international water. They may have. No, they have flouted. We all are soldiers. We are convinced that they have gone beyond the limit. Without a proper process of challenge, how can you torpedo? On one hand, you take the credit of having torpedoed a vessel in the Indian Ocean, first of its kind, after the Second World War. On the other hand, you would lecture others about the morals and ethics. Do we do cherry picking on international law? These are the moot questions, because this event, this conflict is going to be the turning point, like League of Nations happened after the Second World War. Here is a country which has stood up to the hegemony and to bulldozing its way through. Just because it is a superpower or a declining power doesn't mean other countries, they don't have any self-esteem, they don't have any sovereignty, they don't have territorial integrity. Does it mean that whatever they think is appropriate is always right? These are the questions we have to leave behind for the future generation. So it brings me to the next point. That point is, when you talk about the proxy war, you say proxies, Houthis, Hamas, Hezbollah, and Hadal al-Saib. Hadal al-Saib is a group which was formed after ISIS backbone was claimed to have been decimated way back in 2017. Soleimani was the commander. He got them together. This is a force before they could pick up momentum and strength and self-confidence. They were attacked time and again. They're down, but they're not out. So now you come to the infrastructure. What I said, Iran had the capability of producing 3,600 missiles per year, minus the Iran-Iraq war, 80 to 88. Thereafter, ups and downs. But if you count from 1990 till 2025, at this scale, this I am not saying, it is their document, Iran. It is the Cyprus document. You research and you will come to it. 3,600 into 35 years. How much does it come to? It comes to more than 1 million. It is not what is given in the open source. 2,000, 3,000, no. This is where I have been actually extending my argument. Do not underestimate the enemy, because the moment you underestimate the enemy, your start point of military appreciation of enemy, ground and tactics and whatnot goes absolutely awry and wrong. Therefore, USA had taken a wrong step without having thought through. They have carried out a military bombardment of military action against the top leadership. In 60-second operation, they not only bumped off, they bombed the supreme leader and 49 senior most leaders. They also took the lives of innocent girl students, numbering around not 150, it is 180 of them approximately. There was a volleyball team also playing nearby. 20 of them were knocked off, women's team. So likewise, and if you include this vessel, naval vessel, which was going back from India, that too in the backyard of India, it is not a message to Iran, it is a message to India. I look at it that. cut out your strategic autonomy, you toe the line, behave like Pakistan, the way Nawaz Sharif and Munir is behaving. Okay, 1.45 billion population, carry done. I am not saying this, I am an Indian. India would do well to assert itself in a calibrated manner. Be mindful that USA is going to drop us like a hot brick or a potato. It is not going to be a strategic partner ever. Whatever little is happening, this is just a bonus. India has to grow out of its dependency. We need to look at, by 2047, we should be able to produce anything and everything within India. That should be our bigger aim. And that is going to give us a lot of dividends. So what happened after that, after the 80s? I have dwelled adequately. After 80s, this was the nuclear ambition. In the nuclear ambition, I'll straight away jump to a very core issue. Then I'll finish off and hand over to the anchor. The Iran's nuclear program, it actually triggered crippling US sanctions and the Israeli covert operation like Stuxnet. There are how many scientists, nuclear scientists, more than exact figure I'm forgetting. Large number of nuclear scientists have been assassinated. And the JCPOA is the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. It was formulated. They have been working since 2011, 2010. It took almost 5-6 years to come to this particular strategy. 5+1, Germany also happened to be a member. And it was signed, it was agreed, in which Iran had already given a commitment that it would forego its nuclear option. It had agreed for everything that was demanded. Certainly, Donald Trump comes in 2018, he pulls back. So, and I don't know, I failed to understand as a student of geopolitics, so why did he pull back? If the aim was to make sure that Iran did not go nuclear, why did he pull back? So I haven't found an answer, but I'll tell you what the answer is. Now, thereafter, the current phase, 7th October 2023 started, the ongoing conflict, you all know it, 12-day conflict. But after that, they started this, what did I say? Mosaic defense. Mosaic defense is the decentralized defense in the Iran. All the 31 provinces, they were grouped into exact theaters, I don't remember. I think it was 5 to 7 theaters. They were given independent responsibility. Theater commanders or the zonal commanders were nominated. First layer, second layer, third and fourth layer. They were told that you have to fight for your zone, fight for your sector, fight for your theater. It happened. It picked up in no time. After 13 January 2026, thereafter, within 20-25 days, it got organized. Thereafter, they started adopting it sometime between the end of 12-day conflict till beginning of this. It has been going on. It is called the strategy of endurance. Strategy of endurance, like most of us have gone through boxing, you let your opponent exhaust and tire him down. Once he's tired, then you start your knockout punches. But we all are aware that Iran wherewithal doesn't actually match with the capability of USA. Where it matches, I'll highlight. Next, what happened was the strategy of dispersal. Earlier times, less for this event. Why did so many leaders come under one bunker at one time? All kinds of battlefield compromises are made by your own people. It is one Iranian who has actually compromised the details. He shared the input with the CIA or the Mossad mole, and it has gone flying. In 45 minutes, the operation is launched. In just about 3 hours from taking off, and thereafter 3 or 4 hours, 60-second operations, more than 50 jets, 30 or more than 30 bombs, they landed at a particular place, and this is how it happened. So, what next? Iran has been time and again saying, be careful, do not underestimate. We have the suitable reply to give you. And what we have seen in past 8 days is the response matrix of Iran. What is the strategy? The strategy, in summary, very briefly, I would say, simultaneity, volume, to blind the Iron Dome. What is Iron Dome? Iron Dome is 4 kilometers to 70 kilometers. Then you have David Sling, 40 kilometers to 150. Then you have Arrow 2, Arrow 3. They are from 150 to 300, 600 kilometers, long-range missiles. Lately, they have developed that 100 kilowatt iron beam, which fires the laser beams 10 kilometers, one shot costing $2. Whereas one missile which goes to negate one drone manufactured by Iran costs only 20,000 US dollars. One interceptor cost 1.5 million dollars. One missile to negate this particular projectile, whether it is loiter ammunition, it is a drone, or it is the ballistic missile, it costs $4 million. And we all are from the army will understand. You do not neutralize one particular attacking platform with one missile. Nobody is such a hardcore marksman. He takes a shot, 2 to 3 rounds. When you fight 2 to 3 rounds, one odd round will have a direct hit. So when you multiply $4 million into 12 million against $20,000, the Iran has got a capacity. Surge capacity is to produce 400 drones, kamikaze. That is, what do you call that? 136. What is the missile which has been given to Shahid 136 missile? 6,000 of them sold to Russia, and they have gone in for mass production. Each one costing just about, I think, $8,000 or $9,000. So Iran has gone in for 4,000 per day, in a month 12,000. You can understand the surge capability. Yes, they had 200 launches. Out of 200, the latest figure I'm given to understand, they have lost 100 launches. Without launches, the missiles have got no meaning. These are precision target projectiles. They have to be given a base for direction, orientation, and stability. They have lost out. But they have given a lesson. They have made to feel the world that these people, countries, neighbors who are in the Middle East, they are not safe and secure. The protection provided by America, as far as, let me give you the statistics of the Patriot missile. Patriot missile success rate of interception is not more than 10%. And the interceptor, it takes, to make one interceptor, it takes between 1.5 to 3 years time. And mind you, China has already weaponized the rare earth element. Without rare earth element, like for example, I had noted down the name, I think it is antimony. It's a critical mineral used for strategic sectors such as missiles, infrared sensors, interceptors, flares, ammunition, nuclear weapons, nuclear reactors, stealth technology. There is another one, neodymium. Neodymium is such a critical mineral without which F-35 cannot fly, Teslas cannot move, the data centers will go dark. China has weaponized the complete thing. It is twisting the tail of America, and 1.5 to 3 years of manufacturing. They have got a strategic reserve of 3,000 to 4,000. By December 2025, the strategic reserve of interceptors had gone down to the bare minimum negligible level. They're virtually scrounging to make it up. It's a different issue. They're claiming they're the mightiest and they're the biggest, they're the largest armed forces. Yes, they are, but there are teething problems within. Cost factor. Look at the way the eyes and ears of the Western Alliance or the American forces have been blinded by this low-cost, cheap product of Iran. So these are the issues I thought I'll share with you, and thereafter hand over the floor to you because time is very limited. And oil diplomacy, which Brigadier Virendra you highlighted, the bigger picture has to be understood. The bigger picture is that China is being indirectly contained.
Yeah,
Why China is being indirectly contained? It is being indirectly contained because the serious vulnerability of China to fulfill its global ambition or objective is to rejuvenate its Middle Kingdom concept by 2049 or earlier than that. It wants to redeem the century of humiliation. And to redeem the century of humiliation, it has to sustain itself on very secure, safe energy security. Venezuela is gone. There are two things happening. One is energy security. The second one, it is to transact in its local currency. What do you call that? Renminbi, yuan. Now USA has been saying you have been de-dollarizing. From 86% of dominance at one point in time of USA dollar as an international reserve currency, it came down to 54% during pandemic. Now it is stabilized at 58%. Economic experts, they say the moment the dominance of US dollar goes down below 50%, that would be the doomsday. China has been instrumental. Therefore, after Venezuela is Iran. Therefore, It goes to justify the hidden agenda of change of regime, because without change of regime, you cannot have full control. American oil companies cannot come to Iran, and 50% of the oil reserve is here of the world. 25 to 30% produced Delhi is here. 20% goes out from the Strait of Hormuz. India's thing, we import 40% of the crude, 60 to 65% of the liquid natural gas, 90 to 95% of the cooking gas. This is the 50 to 60% of the crude is imported, 40% by China out of 83.6% total import by China. It cannot sustain, it cannot live. Economy will go to absolutely grinding halt. So therefore, there is something hidden behind it. Let me tell you the story behind this. America, as on today, has got 38 trillion debt. It means it requires 1.2 trillion for only the interest service. And more than that, it generates only 4 trillion in a year. It requires 6 trillion of revenue. There is a shortfall of 2 trillion here, requirement of 1 plus trillion there. 3 trillions is a big amount. It cannot go on to print. Therefore, the Federal Reserve, the governor, and the chairman from time to time have been saying this loudly from the rooftop, that for America to stay relevant and as a superpower to sustain its supremacy, the steady inflow of wealth has to come in. They have looked around, they found there are 5 things where they can focus on: oil, 2.1 trillion and more; pharmaceutical, 1.4 to 1.6 trillion; defense industry, 1.8 to 2 trillion. Then you have rare earth element, and there is one more thing which I am forgetting: drug money. Drug is around 1.6 to 1.8 trillion. These are the 4, 5 things, couple of things which they are focusing on. And most importantly, the shale gas produced in USA is costing $70. Break-even cost. Break-even cost. Below this, they will go losses. $70. The Brent crude oil cost was $62.22 per barrel. Thus, prior to on 26th or 27th of February, in order to make people come to USA to buy the shale gas, whether logically, either by deliberation or by inadvertence, this conflict is actually raising the price of the crude oil from 62.22. It has gone beyond, I think, $90. Soon it will be going across 100. People are assessing that it may touch the figure of $150 per barrel, and maybe even beyond that. Therefore, that oil diplomacy which you are talking, and there is an indirect way of containing China, because soon he will be having a meeting with China's leader by the end of this month. That's all. Thank you. I'm sorry I've taken a little time, but then it was required. Back to you, Birendra.
Thank you, Jan Sudhakarjee. And aptly covered right from 1979 onward, the change of regime, Islamic Republic, and building up of Iran, Islamic country, the changes in the social structure, the army, the IRG, and most importantly, the production of the missiles. The question arises, if I don't have a threat, why do I produce so many missiles, and for whom? That is there. It is the issues which are still to be discussed are Bharat's India's comments on elimination of Khomeini. What is the future? The boots on ground, will it be there? And China we have covered, and Israel. I think the US is there, but yes, what Israel is doing and what it will continue to do. These are the issues, and with this, I'll request Brigadier Karan to throw light on these issues as well as the issues which have been discussed so far. Over to you, Brigadier Karan.
Thank you, Brigadier Birendra. It was a very interesting discussion till now. I'll cover a couple of things. Firstly, just like the Chinese Communist Party owns a country, the Islamic Republic of Iran is owned by this Islamic grouping under Khomeini and his comrades, which has been in power since around 1979, as Jan Sudhakarjee said. And they have a system. It's a 90 million population country. They have a system of this IRGC and the Basij forces, that is, the Basij is the people's militia, and how they control is, we have seen an example of it in the recent disturbances in Iran. As per media, the figures ranging of people being killed are ranging from 10,000 to 30,000, and they were the protests were put down with extreme harsh measures. And this is one aspect of this regime. It is not a democratic regime. They may have a majlis or whatever. It is a regime which controls the people by force. The second is, no country can pose a threat of existence to another country. It is their declared policy of destruction of Israel. What does Israel do? I mean, there's a man who says, I'm going to destroy you, and they have an active nuclear program, which I'm sure that is being monitored at various levels, and where their level of refinement is increasing. Is the world, or is Israel, or the world for that matter, going to wait for them to go nuclear? They have declared openly that Israel does not need to exist. And then you see a country which has created which has sort of used terror as a policy, whether it is in Yemen, whether it is in Lebanon, or it is in Hamas, and we saw what happened in October 23. Now, in a backdrop like this, that leadership needs to suffer. The strategy which the Americans and the Israelis have adopted is cutting off the head of the snake. It is 100-headed hydra. It has 100 heads. You cut off one, but there are 99. They'll keep cutting off the heads till such time some leadership comes up or is willing to come to terms, and that is when the negotiations will take place. I don't think in this conflict, either of these countries will be putting boots on the ground. But there is a large likelihood, like what happened in Libya, of internal disturbances. You see, the military structure of Iran is in two parts. One is the IRGC. IRGC is like the People's Liberation Army. It is the army of the party. It is the army of the Islamic leadership. And they are supported by the People's Militia, which is the Basij, which is down there to the grassroots level. But the Iranian army is a different entity altogether. It is a conventional army, which has largely been kept out of the routine running of the country, which has been left mostly to the IRGC. And all interventions and initiatives that Iran has been taking militarily have been led by IRGC and these various other forces like the Quds force, which are in existence. So, I do not see a conventional operation being launched and like World War II, and then finally Berlin is captured. No, it is not going to happen in that manner. The country, they will continue to punish the leadership for their actions until such time an internal collapse is generated, or they come to the table and agree to terms. The primary one being that you have to do away with this nuclear activity that Iran has been professing. Iran going nuclear is not only a threat to Israel, it is a threat to entire Middle East. It's a threat to the entire structure of and stability of Middle East, and by extension, I would say, to the world. So we cannot have a country holding entire countries to ransom. You give Iran a few nuclear missiles and it will be rattling them on a daily basis at anybody and everybody across this thing. And the countries in the Middle East, they are not capable of sustaining. That is why America has 19 bases in the Middle East, a figure like that. This is to lend stability to that. And as far as India's options are concerned, I think India is doing a very right thing. It is maintaining a neutral stance. It is working on ensuring its energy supplies are maintained, whether from Middle East or from countries outside. I mean, Australia has enough gas. We can buy gas from Russia. We can buy petroleum from Latin America and African countries. Overall, in the world, when you see, there is enough production capacity. It is only now with this president saying that we will not be threatening these Gulf countries and all that. So I think this oil threat may not manifest in the way that we are thinking it will, and it will die down after some time. As far as India is concerned, we'll have to continue to keep a very neutral sort of a policy and yet offer a platform that as and when negotiations take place, we are there to offer our services and bring this whole conflict to an end. But I don't think the Americans and the Israelis are going to agree to anything short of Iran agreeing to sort of denuclearize its program. So with that, I would come to say, and this point about this Iranian frigate being sunk off the coast of Sri Lanka, well, Iran has been firing at missiles at every commercial ship passing through the Hormuz. It has been firing missiles at hotels and commercial airfields and various other power stations, the desalination plants on which the people's survival is dependent as far as Middle East is concerned. It has been targeting these. So I think a frigate in international waters is a fair target. Either it should have sought shelter somewhere or it was an open target. It came by an American submarine and it was sunk. I think that's part of the game. That's all I have to say. Over to you.
Thank you, Brigadier Karan. And the highlights which is there is relevant because finally, when you look at it, the key issue comes up to be the nuclear developments which supposedly taking place in Iran. And if it be so, then yes, the threat is pertinent to not only the Middle East, it is to the adjoining countries, maybe enough India also, and to the world at large. The question remains same that the weapon systems which are there with the country and the development, if they produce the amount of the missiles and then they want to produce nuclear weapons, and the regime Islamic in character, and they were supporting Hezbollah, Hamas, and willy-nilly ISIS, like the new format which is there. So maybe in the future it could have been a more problematic. It is yet to be decided that yes, the nuclear weapons are being manufactured, not being manufactured. But to my mind, yes, Iran was doing something of that kind, though not openly, but yes, maybe undercover, they were working on that. The regime change is the one issue which is to be seen that what next is the issue, what next, and will it lead to a wider confrontation with the nations being pro, not pro, and like if Iran is shooting at all the ships which are passing through the Strait of Hormuz, even those who are not directly in enmity with Iran, it also has a say that the ethics of war has to be followed by both. That is true. I have a last, I think Harsh Vardhan has left here to go for some marriage. I have a last one issue which I'll request Gen Sudhakarjee to cover in a very brief way. Anticipated wider confrontation, joining more countries. Very briefly, sir, can you please cover it up? Over to you, Gen
Yeah,
Sudhakar.
I must thank you. We are thinking alike. We are on the same page. How is it going to unfold? Even if, let's say, there is an offer by the president of Iran, what is his name, Prejekskin or whatever, and even if it is accepted by USA, that is the question is not who blinks first. Question is what happens next. You have rightly actually framed the question. I visualize until unless the regime undergo change, the proxies are not supported by or Iran stops supporting the proxies, Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas, and Hadel al Saiwan militias, until unless the uranium 440 kgs, they have hidden it somewhere. IAEA was supposed to have kept a record of its footprint. Now it has disappeared. One doesn't know where is it. IAEA has been debarred from visiting or inspecting the establishments since past so many months. So missile production, the whole project has to be abandoned by, because unless this happens, the Abraham Accord or the larger Israel cannot actually come into being in the Middle East. The basic aim is to extend the boundaries of Israel, form a larger Israel, and make sure that all these forces which are inimical to the existence of Israel are neutralized evidently without any scope or potential of reversible kind of a phenomena. One. Number two, USA continues to enjoy its dominance on oil. We need to keep in mind one very important milestone. That milestone is 24th. In 2024, June 2000, exact date I have forgotten, Saudi Arabia has made an announcement. It has started practicing. It was under the Brent petrodollar agreement between USA and Saudi Arabia that was signed long time back in 1973, as per which people have to buy dollar first and buy the oil in dollar. That was being practiced. But from June 2024, Saudi Arabia has announced that the transactions of buying oil and selling oil will take place in non-dollar currency. Doing business in non-dollar currency by Saudi Arabia is actually making de-dollarization, encouraging it or promoting it. Therefore, it will do anything and everything to come back to Middle East, extend its dominance, have a control, full control and regulation on the oil of Iran and other countries as well. And only then it can give a significant pushback. Then only it can call that whatever Donald Trump is doing during his time, it is making America great again or America first again. Otherwise, it is going to go defunct. It will put a slap on his face. Either he loses in the midterm election or he bounces back with such kind of thumping majority that he will perhaps he will start. He's presently dreaming. He will still striving for the third term, which the Constitution of USA doesn't allow. You never know, the Constitution may undergo change. But here, last point I wish to make: the world has to collectively decide, is there some rule in rules-based international order? If yes, does the Thucydides doctrine or his statement, which says that the powerful will do what it can, the weak will suffer what it must, means might is right. Does might is right apply to 21st century for the global stability, peace, and harmony? If not, then perhaps the time has come, like League of Nations collapsed way back in 1945 as the World War was coming to an end. In my opinion, I give a total, very, mm, I say, a genuine recommendation from my side. Let this particular conflict be taken as a turning point in the global geopolitical dynamics and the world order, wherein a new organization be formed, not based on transatlantic, but based on the whole of world, in which India must play a very important role. Call it by any name: United Nations Security Council, some authority which will have power, accountability, and also should be able to exercise governance in a most comprehensive and effective manner for larger good of one and all. It is not white and non-white. It should not be like global north and global south, global east and global west. It should be one universe based on the concept of one planet, one family, one earth.
Thank you, sir. Very, very well said. And Brigadier Karan, any point would you like to highlight? I just finish off before that. I think you have to put on the mic is off.
Nothing much.
Yeah.
I'll just say, while it is good to have a rules-based order in the world, but the rules must be applicable. I just take ourselves back to the time when we came to know of the Pakistani nuclear program, and though the things turned and we did not do anything about it, but at the time of brass tacks, there was an opportunity to do something about it. Maybe the government did not want to do something about it. But if we had done something about it at that time, maybe things would have been a little different as far as the Indian subcontinent is concerned. So I think the Israelis are not ready to wait for these guys to go nuclear and thereafter start waving their nuclear-tipped missiles around. In any case, the Israel, as a country, the size is so small, it will not be able to take on the impact of even one weapon system. So this conflict, it just had to be there. It will be there, and it will go to its conclusion till such time this regime sort of straightens up and agrees to the terms which are being asked from it, and otherwise they will suffer. And I think the regime change is quite likely to happen at some point in time. It will take time, but it will happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Brigadier Karan, and thank you, Gen Sudhakarjee. In the discussion for last hour plus, the important aspects of the US, Iran, and Israel conflict has come up. One is that what next end, which is their regime change. After that, what? The nuclear weapon systems being made, not being made, what next? The wider confrontation, will it be there, not there? Then what General Sudhakarji brought out was it looks like that after World War One, the League of Nations, World War Two, United Nations, there is a requirement to have an organization which is equal in all the world order, and there has to be some system which, if the world wants peace, that needs to be followed. Maybe how it is to be done is a question mark. It's a very, very difficult issue, but it can be done. Presently, I don't know, it is nothing have been done by the Security Council. No issues, nothing has been taken care of at the United Nations. Maybe there is a requirement. Maybe the same organization structuring needs to be reviewed. It can be enhanced. The quality, maybe more members into that, and more power, more teeth is required to the various members. So that is a necessity, and let's hope that the war between Iran, US, and Israel comes to a conclusion with the better innings and better future for the entire world and the region itself. With that, I sign off. Thanks to the audience, thanks to the panelists, and thanks to the commentators into the. I'm seeing the comments which are being written by Michael and Regal Case, and they have a certain names are there. I'm reading that. So very interesting. So thanks for your participation. And thanks, Akisha, from the backdrop. You are giving us the support from Delhi. So thank you very much. With that, I sign off. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you, Birendra.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, General Sudhakarjee.
Sir, thank you.